basketball is about.
South Carolina's in front.
South Carolina's got it!
Thank you for that. Good evening. I'm so delighted to be here with all of you tonight. Welcome to our 2025 Gamecock Sports Preview, and what an entrance that was. We are just thrilled to get this season kicked off. My name is Tiffany Foxworth, and I have the pleasure of serving as the CEO for the USC Alumni Association. We have several special guests with us here this evening that I would like to take a moment to recognize. Led by our board president, Michael Bond, thank you to members of the Alumni Association Board of Governors who are in attendance this evening. Led by board chairman Thad Westbrook, thank you to all of our members of the Board of Trustees who have also joined us here this evening. And a very warm welcome to our university's president, Dr. Michael Amaritas, and First Lady Iro Agalupoulou Amaritas. Thank you for being here this evening and for your steadfast support of the Carolina family. And to everyone in this room, thank you so much for being here as we get the season kicked off. I know we have a lot of energy and enthusiasm that we have certainly been feeling on campus this week. And if that is any indication what this athletic season is going to look like, I think we're in for a real treat this year. As we kick off this evening, I also want to acknowledge the Pastides Alumni Center turning 10 this month, just last week actually. So some of you may know this, but one of the very first events we ever hosted in here was Gamecock Sports Preview just over a decade ago. And so we are so thrilled to be celebrating this important milestone and thank many of you who have been supporters of this center in helping us make sure that it continues to be a destination for alumni and friends of the university. In addition to creating meaningful experiences here within the center, the Alumni Association's core mission is to provide opportunities to enhance the lifelong connection to the university. I think that is probably no surprise to anyone, certainly in this room. With nearly 300,000 living alumni just from USC Columbia alone, we are making an impact here locally, across the state, and around the globe. And tonight, I want to take a moment to thank you, our dedicated members, for all that you do to support us and invest in the association so we can serve our alumni base. Through this investment, we're able to support close to 50 regional clubs across the country and even a few international, so that Gamecocks can be connected to their great network no matter where they land after graduation. We provide students with scholarship opportunities so they too can live out their lifelong dream of being a Gamecock. We also extend career networking and mentorship opportunities that are specifically tailored for Gamecock students and alumni. And we connect through events and programs just like this one. I'm sure many of you who have attended this event over the years have noticed several cameras in the room this evening. Capturing tonight's event is another way that we are engaging digitally with all of our members, and we'll be able to share this with them following tonight's event. So thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for loving this university as much as we all do. Thank you for your membership. Certainly, if you are interested in upgrading to a life membership, we always encourage that as well. And speaking of investing, I want to thank Founders Federal Credit Union for investing in the mission of the Alumni Association. They have for years supported the association on a variety of levels and programs, and we are so grateful to their support and having them tonight as our presenting sponsor. Please help me give a warm Gamecock welcome to Matt Nichols, Market Executive for Founders Federal Credit Union.
Kind of surprised me with the walk-up song, but I'll take it. On behalf of Founders Federal Credit Union, I just wanted to take a moment to welcome everyone here to the Alumni Association's Sports Preview Party. This is the event that tells me every year that it's getting real. Everybody's undefeated. All of our teams are undefeated. Everybody's student has a 4.0 GPA. I mean, this is awesome. So I hope all of you are excited as I am about the upcoming season. But as members of the Alumni Association, each of you are eligible for membership with our credit union. That's one of the benefits that kind of goes both ways for Founders and for the Alumni Association. So I want to encourage you to visit one of our local offices or visit foundersfcu.com to check us out. We've got some great products, great services, but the best part is our people. And our branch managers here from the Columbia market, they're down here at this table. If you want to see them afterwards, they'd love to answer some questions, talk some business, but hope everybody has a great time tonight. I know you're all looking forward to hearing from our great coaches, and I've actually got two things I'm going to do too. We've got two people in the room tonight that have won a $250 gift card, so if I call your name, I'm going to have these down front. You're welcome to come get them, but Darlene McManus and Patty Shelley, you're our two winners. So congratulations to y'all. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. And again, thank you to Founders Federal Credit Union for all that you do to support us. So no stranger to Gamecock Sports Preview, our MC has hosted this event for the last 6 years. Connor Shaw, husband to Molly and father to Mila, Decker, and Cutler, and is soon to be number 4, the University of South Carolina's all-time winningest quarterback. He is certainly no stranger in here. He led Carolina to a 27-5 record, including a 17-0 record at Williams-Brice Stadium. That's right. His 74 touchdowns are the most in school history. That's right. He's a member of USC's 2021 Athletics Hall of Fame class. He played for 4 years in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns and Chicago Bears. Since his playing days, Connor founded Shaw Camps to host youth skills camps in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club throughout South Carolina. Connor serves as the area vice president for Gallagher Insurance and is a proud life member and dear friend to the association. Without further ado, please welcome tonight's MC, Connor Shaw.
They not like us. 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 They not like us.
That was my note.
Matt Nichols, apparently you got some money, bro. Thank you, Tiffany. Your leadership and positive spirit continues to breathe life in our Alumni Association, and we're all thankful for you. All right, let me put my notes here. Good evening, Gamecocks. My name is Connor Shaw. I'm a proud alumnus of the University of South Carolina, and like Tiffany mentioned, I'm a life member of our Alumni Association. So speaking of members, I'd like to take a moment and ask all of our life members to please stand up so that we can recognize you. All right, a lot of people sitting down. Need more people to stand up next year. No, thank y'all. Seriously, thank you for helping connect our students and our alumni, building critical connections for our Gamecock family. It means a lot, and it's part of what makes this university, this city, and our alumni association so special. So thank you for your support. Year 6, that feels like old man status of being up here as your host, but this is truly my favorite event of the year. Matt said it kind of symbolizes football's right around the corner. We're kicking off all of our athletic seasons. It's a new year, kids are on campus, so let's go. I have the privilege tonight of introducing some of our outstanding Gamecock coaches representing some of those athletic seasons. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors, just to piggyback on what Tiffany said, for everyone listed on our screens here. Founders Federal Credit Union, longtime loyal supporter of the University of South Carolina and its people and all South Carolinians. So we're all grateful for that. Graduate Hotels, our photo booth sponsor. Our VIP tables, Rule of Law Collaborative, USC Foundations, Scott Moyes, Mac Gas, Patricia Shelley, and Carolina Gas Transmission. This sounds really loud. Is it too loud? All right, my man. That's pretty good. All right, before I introduce Coach Beamer, I just want to say something real quick. And this is from a former student athlete, University of South Carolina, and I say this on behalf of all of our alumni. Coaches and administration, heartfelt thank you. There is a lot of evolution in college sports and college student athletes, good, bad, or indifferent. There's been a lot of change. There's NIL, there's transfer portal, but there are still 18 to 22-year-old kids that are still growing up and need development, need coaching, need mentorship. And all of our coaches and our administration do a really great job of prioritizing that. And these kids are growing up fast. So we couldn't be more proud of the way that you lead the next generation of Gamecocks as they come in and they choose to wear the garnet and black. So with that being said, let's get our first speaker. He's got to hustle after this to the call-in show. So Coach Beamer, thank you for being here. In his 5th season as our head coach, we have seen remarkable progress, had a heck of a run last year, was on a warpath in November, but his passion of this game for the University of South Carolina and dedication to build a strong, cohesive team culture is truly inspiring. I think we all believe that. Coach Beamer has improved the Gamecocks from a 2-8 record prior to him joining to a 7-6 and an 8-5 record last year. Like I said, undefeated in November and another win in Death Valley, if you call it Death Valley. And finished number 23rd ranked in the country. In his tenure, in addition to knocking off top 10 opponents, Tennessee and Clemson in back-to-back games, first in school history, Coach Beamer has already posted wins over 3 coaches that have won national championships, Jimbo Fisher, Dabo Sweeney, ×2, and Mac Brown. I know we're all excited to see Coach Beamer get a swag on the sideline this year, so please join me in welcoming our head football coach, Shane Beamer.
Beamer, Benz, and Bentley. Beamer, Benz, and Bentley. My jeans are never empty. Beamer, Benz, and Bentley. Beamer, Benz, and Bentley. Beamer, Benz, and Bentley.
Make sure this works. Coach Beamer, thanks again for being here. I know you've got a lot going on, and you're hustling to your call-in show right after this, but it means a lot.
I will say, though, I do have a live radio show, but the fact that all of my bosses are in this room, I think I'm okay if I'm a little bit late to the radio show, I think.
All right, well, then we're getting all 15 of these questions answered tonight, then. All right, Coach, you're just coming out of training camp. As you look back at the summer, day 1 of training camp until now, if you think about the development, the progress you guys made from day 1 and progressing up into kickoff next Sunday afternoon, what's your thoughts?
Excitement. It's a really fun group for all of the players that we lost off last year's team, and we lost a lot of production. We bring back a lot of really good players, and thoughts are we're really young in a lot of spots, but these guys that are so young, they're talented, and they're almost too young to know they don't know type stuff, you know? And there's a lot of guys that aren't household names, but when you have a quarterback that everyone knows who he is, and a pass rusher like Dylan Stewart, those are 2 pretty good positions to start. And it's been a fun group, Connor, ever since we came back in January. Very adamant about making sure there was no complacency, patting ourselves on the back about the season we had last year, winning 9 games, and I haven't had to get on them about that one time. They've been very intentional about working hard, and there's an edge about themselves that proud of what we accomplished last year, but a disappointment in what we didn't ultimately get done.
You mentioned a little bit about last year. Every team's a new team, different personalities. It's never the same. When you think about last year's team and the success you had in this year's team as you're coming together, what are some of the biggest differences that you've identified and how this crew has come together and some of the young guys growing as veterans? What are some of those contrasting differences from last year to this year?
Yeah, last year we were just so old. When I sat at this event last year, I had a feeling we were going to be a lot better than maybe what some of y'all in here thought, and people on the outside for sure, just because of the amount of older guys we had on our team. When you talk about Boogie Huntley and Tonka Hemingway and Vershawn Lee and Debo Williams, I mean, those are guys that have played a lot of football here at South Carolina, and they were very invested in South Carolina. The difference in last year and this year is there's just so many young guys. I mean, I think we did a little newcomer talent show last Sunday night. That's always a hit of preseason camp. And if you're a newcomer, meaning true freshman or transfer, you participate. I think we had 46 players participate, which means, and we only got 110 on the team. So we got 46 that weren't even in Columbia last year at this time. So it's so many new faces, but it's exciting though, because they're all great young men. They're all really hard workers. They're all really, really passionate about being here in Columbia. And that's the biggest thing that jumps out when you look at last year at this time to now.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach. All right, you got 2 younger guys who have played a lot of football in their young career, not new faces for Gamecocks. 2 superstars in Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart. What do you expect from their growth? You mentioned some guys that are not as well known as those 2, but I know the type of impact those kind of guys carry in a locker room, not just on the field, but off the field. What can you expect from those 2 guys as they grow into more leaders?
Yeah, continued development. Lenoris was a leader on our team last year, been in his own way, just the kind of person he is and the player he is. This year, he's more comfortable and confident and voicing things when he needs to, and he's also a year older and a year more experienced in the system, understands what starting as a quarterback in this league means, as you know, and Tommy Suggs knows and whatnot. Dylan Stewart, a guy that I think last year, for all he did, he was still a true freshman, obviously, and I think you maybe saw signs of him wearing down a little bit as the season went, realizing that playing in this league is a little bit different than playing, St. Paul's the Six or whoever he was playing up in the D.C., Maryland area in high school. So realizing what it takes to perform at this level, he's a year older, he's a year stronger, he's a year better. And then we need to be better around all those guys. We're not asking Dylan to do everything on defense and Lenoris to do everything on offense, but those are 2 pretty good places to start.
Yes, sir. From day one, you getting on campus, you've always put an emphasis on the type of people that you bring into your organization, the heart, that type of impact lasts much longer than any one skill set or any one individual, that no one's bigger than the program. Now, you've also done a great job, and so is your staff, embracing the NIL transfer portal. What's your approach on that, and what do you identify when you're interviewing a player or a family and keeping that culture that you have all worked so hard to build and bringing new faces in?
Yeah, to me, it starts with bringing people in here that's just a good person, first and foremost, that you want to be around. This job is hard. There's going to be adversity that we face this season. You want to make sure that you're with good people when you're going through that adversity. So you got to be a good person, first and foremost. Guys that love football and want to compete. And if you don't love football, you're going to have a hard time being a part of this program. And NIL, rev share, it's an aspect of college athletics that all of us are dealing with, and it should be a factor, but it can't be the reason that you come to South Carolina. Because if that's the reason you're coming to South Carolina, that's the same guy that's going to be in my office every January when the portal's open, wanting more money, or he's going somewhere else. And I can really knock on wood on this one. I can say that last year after this season, I met with every player on the team, and there were 2 players that I had conversations with in regards to money, and not in a bad way, but just in the sense that wanting to have a conversation about getting more things like that, or else don't want to go, but it's something that I'm going to look into. 2, you may say, that's too many, but I talked to other coaches in our league, and they're like, 2? I had like 40 in one day. But we have really good people in this program, and it starts with just making sure that they're choosing South Carolina for the right reasons.
Well, that's seen and felt. I appreciate it, Coach. Piggyback on that a little bit, not talking to the players, but the coaches. I believe you've had 3 assistant coaches promoted to head coach, coaching roles at other universities. And to me, that's a really healthy sign of a program. It's what you want. It's why you hire those guys and develop those guys. What are you looking at an assistant coach when you're in that interview process?
Yeah, great question, and I was going to say that too. That's one of the things I'm really excited about in regards to this season is just the staff that we have. I knew with the season that we had last year, Connor, winning 9 games, I mean, in October, it was evident that we had coaches on our staff that were going to be very attractive to other people that were looking for coaches. And I went to Coach Tanner back in the fall about we need the Monday after the Clemson game, we need to be able to I want to keep this whole staff intact, and we need to be able to keep coaches here and put new contracts on their desk. And thankful for Dr. Amaritas and Thad and then Jeremiah coming in as well, that allowed me to do that and keep the staff intact, because I truly believe it's the best group of coaches that we've had since I've been the head coach of South Carolina, just on and off the field, the kind of people they are, the men they are, the coaches they are. What I'm looking for, kind of the same thing, guys that are great people to begin with, great teachers as well, and then just people that are very forward thinking and have goals and want to work really, really hard and do a great job here at Carolina and want to be here and be successful. And we do. Yes, we gave them all new contracts, but we had a coach turn down a head coaching interview. We had Clayton White turn down multiple defensive coordinator opportunities. We had 2 coaches that turned down position coaching jobs to go coach in the NFL and decided to stay as well. And I'm proud of that. We got a really good group of people, and they believe in what we're doing and are excited about not just 2025, but beyond as well.
Coach, we probably have time for one more question. I'm not the first to ask this because there's a ton of storylines around the Virginia Tech opener with your family's history and your coach. Your father as a coach. This coaching life can be a roller coaster. My question to you is, because I've always respected this out of you from day one when I was being recruited in 2009, is you always have been a family-first person. And watching the SEC Any Given Saturday show, you get a little glimpse into that, but it's not you just living this life. It's Emily and Hunter and Sutton and Olivia. And we see some of those high-level interactions, but can you just tell us how you balance it, the demands of this job in the offseason, going into the Virginia Tech game, all the emotions, like, You're a real one for knowing what to prioritize and being a son of a high school coach. Like, just talk a little bit about that balance.
Yeah, I know how important this job is, but I only get one shot to be a dad. And as my kids are growing up, Sutton, my oldest, turned 17 today. She was born here. When I was coaching for Coach Spurrier, I mean, she was born here, I think, like the week and a half before we opened up with NC State, I think, on a Thursday night or something. And the fact that she's 17 right now is scary, depressing, a lot of emotions going through my head. But just trying to, I've got an amazing wife, as you know, and making sure I do a good job of prioritizing things. So if it means staying a little bit, if it means sneaking out of the office to go watch my daughter at a tennis match for 45 minutes on a Tuesday afternoon, if that means getting back to the office and I got to stay there 45 minutes later to make up what I missed, then so be it. And, before I came over here, I was at a tennis match for an hour and got accused of coaching my daughter during tennis by the opposing coach. I don't even know anything about tennis. I asked her what the score was and did she win the first set, because I couldn't see the scoreboard from where she was. That was a first. But went to a tennis match, and then I'll go to the radio show, and then we're taking Sutton, our oldest, out for a dinner tonight as well for her birthday, late dinner. It's about my bedtime when we do that. But to answer your question, though, in all seriousness, just I'm very blessed, and I'm a part of a profession like the one you grew up in, where I can include my children as a part of it. They can come to practice and be around the team. The players are at my house. I love that aspect of it, and just realizing that I'm a better husband and father. If I'm doing a great job in coaching, I'm probably a better husband and father in a lot of ways, if that makes sense. So just trying, I don't want my children or wife or any of our assistant coaches' families to resent what their dad does for a living, because there are a lot of sacrifices and events that I have to miss. But if I'm here in Columbia, I'm going to be as present at everything I can be a part of. And I was fortunate to work around a lot of great coaches that I saw that growing up as well, coming up in the profession, that you could have that balance also.
Coach, we're thankful for who you are. Dad, husband, head coach, and there'll be a lot of garnet and black in Atlanta next Sunday.
Yep. Can't wait to see all of you over there. I'm excited and really, I know it's his first one, but so grateful to have Jeremiah Donati here as our athletic director. Has already made us better in his time, and then I know there's other coaches that are here tonight. I'm very blessed to be here at South Carolina for a lot of reasons, but one of them is all the amazing coaches that I'm surrounded by on this campus as well. It's awesome what we have here at South Carolina, and best days of Gamecock athletics are about to get started. Go Cox!
All right, time to introduce our next coach here, Coach Kalen Anderson. Since taking the helm in 2008, this next coach has led the Gamecocks to consistent NCAA championship appearances, developing All-Americans and future LPGA stars along the way. A former All-American herself at Duke University, she brings elite-level experience and a deep passion for player development and a commitment to excellence both on and off the course. Would appreciate a couple of lessons if you throw them my way. All right. Her leadership continues to elevate our women's golf to national prominence, and please join me in welcoming Coach Kalen Anderson. It's a pretty baller walk-up song.
Yeah, thank you. We don't get those in golf, so I was gonna soak in every moment of that walk-up song. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Coach, thank you for being here. All right, coming off a very successful 2025 season, another trip to an NCAA championship and an SEC tournament title. What does it look like as you're approaching 2026? We just talked. There you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Trying to steal your applause.
Yeah, thank you. We'll take the SEC championship. It was a fun week.
We were just talking about how quick of a turnaround for your players as you march right into the next season and tournament play. What does that look like for your team, and what's the mindset?
We're just going to run with the momentum. We did lose 3 seniors, so we lose a good majority of our starting lineup. But we, just like Coach Beamer, we have a very eager and young team, and have replenished really well. So we've started a couple practices, and turnaround starts September 8th right away, defending our tournament title at the Annika Invitational up in Minnesota, and then head over to Chicago. So we head up north out of the heat, which I think will be welcomed for a little bit here, but excited to get going. And we've got a really fresh group that is just a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and certainly have several returners in our lineup.
It's been really fascinating to see the evolution of the game of golf, where you have more young kids, male and female, are carrying the torch, and it's fun to see what golf looks like as we look into the horizon. Your roster has included standout international players like Luis and Hannah. How do you approach recruiting? It's a very different than your typical sport when you're looking internationally versus domestic here in the States, or even in-state here in South Carolina.
Right, and we've focused a lot. In all honesty, a lot of international athletes has been in the majority of our roster lately. When I came in here, this is, I think, my 19th season I've started, believe it or not. We came in here, I think we maybe started here in 2008, and I think we were ranked maybe 60th in the country, and been a top 5 team for the last, I think, 8 years in a row. But I started by thank you. I started having to recruit and compete by going international And in order to compete with the domestic kids and really get people interested, and I'd have to go over to Europe predominantly and start getting the top 5, top 10 kids in the country. And over time, I've built a strong network over there. Certainly, we've had some phenomenal Americans. Caitlin Damba locally, Sophia Burnett just played for us. We had Sarah Schmezel. She's one of our Solheim Cup members from Phoenix, Arizona. So we've done some great things with domestic players, but had a very strong contingency of Europeans. So spent, which has been nice, but has spent a lot of time in Europe, over the summers and watched many of the major events over there. So it's been a great mix. It creates a great culture here. It's fun to kind of have that diversity on the team. I think it grows the individuals as people and athletes, and it's really become an international sport. If you look at the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour from, the Asian, we have a wonderful Thai player who just made match play at the U.S. Amateur this year and made a great run out at Bandon Dunes.
Thanks, Coach. You've been named SEC Coach of the Year 5 times. Most recent here in 2025. Go ahead. First, what does this sort of recognition mean to you? And also, this conference, no matter what sport, is a juggernaut. And how do you keep that sort of consistency?
I mean, it's a huge honor. It's something that we're proud of. The team makes me look good, but I'm very blessed, very grateful. We've had a lot of success, but certainly our conference is very deep. It's the best conference in the country. We've had some great runs, and again, very lucky, and I'm motivated, and we'll keep this thing going. I mean, it's what I'm driven to do. I love South Carolina. I love Columbia, South Carolina. I love the Gamecocks, and we're going to keep this run going, and we're going to keep South Carolina women's golf at the top.
Let's roll. All right, Coach. My next question is definitely from a casual golfer here.
Bring it. Let's go.
All right. I was invited to play in the BMW Pro-Am earlier over the summer, and I was playing with Korn Ferry Tour players and obviously very talented professional golfers, and I'm watching some of these guys go 6 birdies in a row, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what's the difference between this player and a PGA player or LPGA player? The margin of error and the difference in that game is fascinating. So my casual question is, what separates the great golfers from the good ones?
Not a lot, to be honest. At that high of a level, there's not a lot that separates. But honestly, it's a mentality. It's your mental fortitude. It's your belief in yourself, your confidence. And in all honesty, it's really comes down to some putts falling, your short game, your scoring game. So if you go down to our beautiful facility, which we're very lucky to have, we do a lot of wedge play, scoring game, short game, and then it's mental fortitude, confidence, belief in yourself.
Love that. Applies to just about everything that we do as well. All right, Coach, how has your job evolved over the last few years with all the changes in college athletics, golf specifically? Well,
I think just like anything, just like Coach Beamer touched on, but we obviously have a very fluid environment in college athletics. A lot has changed, but certainly recruiting has changed. We are still in the business of developing young people. That's the first, foremost priority in what we're doing. But I think recruiting has changed with NIL, the transfer portal, everything happening that we need to stay on top of. There's a lot of fundraising going on. I want to thank everybody sitting in this room. You make a significant impact on what we do, your support. I wouldn't be sitting here without you and the support you give to our programs, our student athletes. We could not be successful without you. So just like Coach Beamer touched on, we need to recruit the students that have the right priorities, and I think that we've done that. We've done a good job with that. That's why I think we're successful. But we need your continued support on bringing the right types of players in here to support the cultures that we have. But, the support is becoming more and more important as we enter this era, and the things that we need, the facilities, the resources, the support for our student athletes.
When you listen to LPGA players and PGA players get interviewed, they always have like their one course that they feel most comfortable, that they're just waiting to go compete at. I'm curious from a coaching perspective and some of your teammates or players, former teammates. What are some of your favorite courses you've competed at? Do you have a course that you just like, I can't wait for that one?
You know, actually, one of the golf courses that we've always competed the best on as our program is the first one we start in the year, the Annika Invitational up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We usually go out there and kill that. So that's always a fun one. We play really well at our home tournament at Long Cove Club. Darius Rucker helps us with that event. He does a concert for us. It's such a fun week. We love being the host there. But there's so many great golf courses all over the world. So those are kind of two of our highlights throughout the year.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you again for being here. Proud of your success.
Thank you.
Proud that you're the coach here, and go kill it this year.
Thanks so much. Go Gamecocks.
How are we feeling? We need to stand up? We good? Man, I really wish I had a football up here. All right, let's introduce our next coach. This next coach brings a dynamic vision and a track record of success here in Columbia. He's made an immediate impact by instilling a strong culture of discipline, player development, and competitive excellence. Prior to joining South Carolina, he led the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga to a Southern Conference Championship and NCAA tournament appearance. Known for his strategic mind. Dang, Coach Parris, strategic mind. I want one of those titles. And ability to connect with student athletes, Coach Parris is building a foundation to return Gamecock basketball to national relevance. Please welcome Coach Lamont Parris.
Stop me, I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me.
Strategic mind, I thought it was my casual golf.
You're still better than me, man. All right, thanks for being here, Coach.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Always fun to come here with alums and spread the Gamecock cheer.
All right, let's jump right into this. The offseason, how would you describe it? What can we expect from this team this year? What's the attitude? What's the mindset?
The offseason was busy, I'll say that. I think, as you know, we got a lot of new faces coming in this year, and so it happens in a relatively small window of time. The number of phone calls, the number of agents you're speaking to, the number of other college coaches. Recruiting has changed so much that, oftentimes you're calling coaches that this player has already played for at other universities. And so, but it's very busy. It's a lot of things happening in a relatively small window. You put your team together, and I'm really happy with the group that we have. We got a lot of versatility, a lot of offensive skill. The team, in a lot of ways, just as we're working with them, we get 8 hours in the summer, or with the guys, or 4 hours of basketball and 4 hours of strength and conditioning. But this team, in a lot of ways, reminds us of the team that we had 2 years ago in terms of the makeup in a couple of different ways. One, probably a little more skilled team offensively overall, and then just in terms of the overall experience and maturity. It's a more mature group, and so we've had a good summer, and we're just really looking forward to. We had our first workout today, actually. I came right off the court over here, so if you see a couple of beads of sweat on my head. But yeah, we're really, really excited about the group and ready to get rocking and rolling.
You just touched on this, Coach, but the SEC's talent pool keeps growing. How are you leveraging changes like NIL, which you've been busy this offseason, and the portal, you just talked about this, to stay competitive? It's the nature of the beast for any coach in every league, but can you talk a little bit about maybe the new faces and the freshmen transfers, NIL, the changing landscape? What's the approach with your staff? Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, our league, first of all, it's a league. It is a league of champions. It seems like every sport, we are the league, and certainly in basketball, we have turned into that also. In fact, last year, not only was it the best league in the country, most people that have been around basketball have said it was the best conference in the history of college basketball last year. So the commitments that our league and our teams and schools and programs have made in the NIL space, that's part of it. We've invested in coaches, that's part of it. There are a lot of good things that are happening in men's basketball right now, and so the talent was unbelievable last year. It'll be another talented league this year. It won't be quite as experienced overall, I don't think. You'll see a lot of new faces at other places, but so in order to combat that, we've had a tremendous amount of support in terms of getting us the resources that we needed to compete in the NIL space and to attract some of the young men to this university that were made out of the things that we wanted them to, that could play the style of basketball that we wanted to. And so we've been really happy with that. We're fortunate and proud and very grateful for all the support that we've gotten in terms of our ability to be able to do that. And so, like I said, we got a good group here, a pretty deep group, and we're ready to get rocking and rolling.
We're excited about it. Each season has its teachable moments, learning lessons. When you look at last year with your staff, your team, what are some of the biggest lessons you can take in this offseason looking for next year?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that I was really proud of our guys last year, in that anyone that's been around young people, I don't want to sound like the generation that's saying, oh, well, those whippersnappers, but every generation it's changing, and if you've been around young people right now, one thing that they have a challenge with oftentimes is handling adversity, and I'd say even different from 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, and I give our team a lot of credit because we had some adversity in the face of the league being so historically good. We had 7 games that were a possession or 2 possessions away from winning the game against some highly talented teams, including Florida, who won a national championship. But in the face of all that, we looked down late in the season and we're playing Arkansas, who was a Sweet 16 team, and we're up 38 at one point in the game. You go forward into the season, later into the season, and our guys they continued to play, they continued to compete, they continued to believe in their ability to win games, and so there's an alternative world in which some of those things happen. A ball bounced this way versus that way. A charge was a block. A lot of things happened, and there was an alternative world for this group that was completely different than what was last year. And our guys every day continued to believe that they had an opportunity to win, and so I gave them a lot of credit for that. But, for the guys that are back, we have a few guys off of that team that are back this year. We brought Meechie Johnson back, who wasn't here last year, so it's a new world. But he's great. This will be a great opportunity for him. Again, he's excited to be back here, and so we're welcoming him back. So we count him as a returner, pretty much. And so that group is driven. That group is really driven to show what they can achieve and what a high level that they can compete at.
Yes, sir. I know this team will be hungry. I come from the world where hard things, there's a lot of growth from it. So we're excited about it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Colin Murray Boyles became the first Gamecock to be drafted in the first round of the NBA draft since Ronaldo Balkman in 2006. Fun fact.
Awesome.
When recruiting Colin, what were your expectations? Did you have expectations of immediate success at this level? Tell me a bit about the kid, Colin.
Yeah, so... Colin's a local product. Obviously, he was at AC Flora. His junior year had just ended when I got the job here. And we were spending time recruiting a couple local guys that were a year ahead of Colin. And so immediately upon getting a couple of those things figured out, I went over to see Colin at AC Flora. And he was coming off of a foot injury, and his name had been around. He didn't have any high major offers. Not one high major offer. And then you saw him, and you saw him catch, pass. You could see his feel for the game. You could see he just was such an intelligent player, and had a tremendous feel for the game, that I was certain that at some point he would be a really good player for us. I was. To say that 3 years later, he'd be the number 9 pick in the NBA draft. Like, I'm not going to try to take credit and say I projected that. But I did believe wholeheartedly that he would be a really, really good player for us sooner rather than later, just based on some of those things. And so we went through the recruiting process. His parents were extremely excited about the fact that we had offered him and he was going to have a chance to stay here at home and do his thing. And so, the rest, they say, is history. But I will tell you this, he's such an incredible kid. I'm so happy for the opportunity that he has, because he loves basketball, he loves being a tremendous teammate, but more importantly, he's just a great kid. He's a fun-loving kid. He's got a tremendous personality and spirit and zest for life, and so it's so fun. When you think about what you do the job for, honestly, this is what you look at, and you can't help but smile when you see a kid get such an opportunity like that. But he's a great kid.
Love to hear that. Yeah. All right, speaking of staying home, some of the best South Carolina basketball teams in history had some strong in-state players. Can you talk a little bit about what the pipeline looks like for South Carolina high school basketball?
Yeah, South Carolina, I'm from the Midwest. I've been in the Midwest most of my life, and you look at, they get a lot of credit for high school basketball, and deservedly so in a lot of ways. But I had not been as exposed to high school basketball in the South in general, and certainly not in the state of South Carolina. And I get down here, and I was really impressed with the overall talent that is. Not only in this state, but in this region. If you look at, we try to reach our arm out into Charlotte and kind of claim that a little bit too. It's a good basketball area, and so, but this state and this region and this area has some really, really talented guys, and so we've done a good job. We've spent a lot of time in the state trying to recruit the state. We've had a lot of guys, a lot of local guys. Even last year we had a bunch of guys, and Zach Davis and Nick Pringle and Jacoby Wright graduated last year and is playing professionally now. Colin Murray Boyles, Gigi Jackson, and we've had a lot of guys that have been from the state of South Carolina. So we will continue to commit to this region, and more specifically this state. Even if you look at this year, we got a young man from Greenville, Hayden Simeon's coming in. He's a really talented guy. Cam Scott is with us. There are a lot of guys from this area, and they have a lot of pride. I think it's hard to kind of describe the pride that young kids have in wearing garnet and black one day. And it's I think we take it for granted sometimes. And then you have a young man come to a camp, and you see a 14-year-old kid at the camp, and he's so excited about just the prospect of one day being a Gamecock. And so there's a lot of pride in this state. I'm grateful for that, and we all should be. There's a lot of it in this room as well.
Well, Coach, we're glad you're in garnet black. We have a lot of pride in you. Good luck through the off season. We'll make sure we pack out Colonial Life Arena.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, straight from the hardwood over here. Thank you, Coach Lamont Paris. All right, next coach. Our next coach is a former Gamecock student athlete. I was in school at that time. Let's go. And the first USC alumnus to be named head coach since Boo Major. During her career as a player, Coach Chastain Woodard led her team in starts, innings pitched, and earned run average as a junior. In her last 3 years of coaching the Charlotte 49ers, they were ranked in the RPI top 25 during each season. And last year, 2 years, they won the Conference USA regular season title and advanced to the NCAA regionals for the first time in school history. I know from her introductory press conference that she's excited to be here speaking today as the head coach of our Gamecock softball team. I'm pretty sure these notes are from last year's. Coach Chastain Woodard, come on up. More importantly, I don't need notes for this. Coach Lamont Paris just talked about a little bit the pride of those in-state, the pride who put on the garnet and black. You know it better than anyone here. We've got some former lettermen here, but just can't tell you how proud we are of you and your success here. And this is year 2 of many, many more years at South Carolina.
Thank you. A lot has happened since all of those notes, I think, from last year. So.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
It's been quite the year.
Let's start with this. Being a first-year head coach in the SEC and earning D1 Softball Coach of the Year. All right, this is your alma mater. It's got to be a pretty surreal feeling. And what is sort of the long-term vision as you forecast as the head coach here?
I mean, I think back to this event last year, and I mean, it's just wonderful to be here. And it flew by. It definitely flew by. And, you know, I still wake up every day feeling like I'm just living my dream, which I am. And a lot has happened in the past year. So I think the long-term vision is just to get the program back to Oklahoma, and I know we were an out away from that. People have asked me over and over since that happened, will I ever get over that? The answer is no, I will never get over it. But, you know, as all coaches, you move on and you build the next team, which is what we've been working really hard to do the past couple months. And so the vision doesn't change. You know, my heart is, you know, the same, and, you know, it's been the biggest blessing of my life thus far to lead the program the past year.
It's been a blessing for us, too. It was an exciting season to follow. We can't wait for the next one. All right. Speaking of being a former student-athlete here, how does your perspective as a former player, walking to the Russell House, going to class on campus, knowing the Horseshoe, knowing this place, how has that perspective helped you as a successful coach here?
Yeah, I think it's helped. If you ask anybody that's on my staff, I'm usually the one that gets on the recruiting trips tagged to do the campus tours because I do know campus better than anybody. But, you know, it's been awesome. I think in a lot of ways from when we were here, you know, back how many years ago now? I guess we can't talk about that. But, you know, the glory years of when you didn't lose at Willie B. I was in the student section enjoying all of his success then. So, but I think so much has changed, but yet like the core of this place and really what it is and what it means hasn't changed a bit. So, you know, for me, just being able to share my experiences as a student, you know, as an athlete, our facilities have changed significantly and gotten better and better since, you know, we were here. And that's really exciting for now our team to be able to experience. But, you know, I think I can dig deep and, you know, kind of talk about some of the classes I took, professors I had, and, you know, really relate to a lot of the recruits that come on campus, you know, even though it's been a few years since that happened.
Well, you've handled this transition well, but what has been the biggest transition that you've noticed coming from Charlotte to USC in this conference?
You know, the SEC, just like all the sports that's been touched on so far, it's a gauntlet. It's the best of the best. And for us, you know, competing in the league every weekend, it was a top 15 matchup, I think, every weekend for us this past spring. Which we love the competition, we welcome it. You know, we want players that are eager to compete at that level, so that's a huge piece of it in the recruiting process for us. But yeah, I mean, there are no days off. You know, you have to be super sharp all the time, and you know, you can play a really great game and still lose. You know, you can have a pitcher that pitches her heart out and you still lose the game, or, you know, vice versa, whatever it is. So it's a gauntlet. It was a lot of fun. We try to help the team have the perspective of, you know, this is what we want. These are the games we want to be in. We want to be in the competition and the toughest moments, and, you know, really allow that to prepare us, you know, for postseason and, you know, what a regional or super regional would feel like.
Thank you. All right, talk about your roster that you have right now. What are some of the leaders, the expected leaders, the young ones that are becoming veterans on your team that you expect to have some more, I don't know, advanced roles this year?
Yeah, so, you know, we returned 9 players from this past team. Our roster got bigger, you know, in the off season. So for us, you know, we brought in 4 freshmen. We've signed 4 freshmen last signing period. So we brought in 10 transfers, and we really wanted to bring in, you know, players that this place means something to, you know, which is really important to me and my heart, and, you know, players that have a lot of talent, but that maybe they don't have a lot of experience other places. So I think if you look at our roster, there's a lot of talent on it that maybe is unproven. I think that's something that's been talked about a little bit with some of the recruits that we've brought in over the summer. I think if you look at the roster, we've got big shoes to fill with losing Ella Chansey and Brooke Blankenship on the left side of the infield. We fielded 980 last year, so the baseball, softball people out there know that's an elite defense. So we've got a lot of work to do on the left side of the infield with losing those two and tons of experience there. We've been training for a few days, since classes started this week, and I'm really excited about who we have projected there. I think a player to really watch would be Tate Davis. She's from the upstate, she's from the Greer area, and both of her parents went to law school here at South Carolina. And so when she went into the transfer portal, she spent her first year at Ole Miss as a freshman and then realized she wanted to come home. So she's a true sophomore, and this place means a lot to her. This is really where she always wanted to be. And just being around her for a few days here on campus, I can tell where her heart is and how much being here really means to her. I think if I'm projecting out, she's talented enough to be our shortstop for 4 years. So I'm really excited about that. We return our right side of the infield, and Carly Shelton and Ari Rohde, two big players for us. So, we've got to do some work on the left side and get those guys comfortable in our system and our process. But we're returning Ari and Carly Shelton and our catcher, Lexi Winters, who's a hometown girl from Lexington. So a lot of good returning players.
I've asked recruiting questions for every coach, and you touched on it. You brought a lot of transfers in. It's almost impossible to define a philosophy in this landscape because it's moving so much and it's year to year. But can you talk a little bit about how you look at recruiting, what we're looking at a pipeline for softball in this state and beyond?
Yeah, just like Coach Beamer touched on, we are people first. We spend a lot of time together, and, when our team goes out in the community, I really want to know that they're representing us really well. So, and we also take a holistic approach. We kind of recruit the entire family, because it's a family affair, and, the parents and the siblings and everybody is really a part of our program to some extent. So we spend a lot of time with the family. We want to make sure that we get high character, and, a lot of talent. We want to make sure that we're getting players that we feel like can compete in a top 15 matchup every weekend in the league. So, and then also I think I've touched on it, but being an alum and how much the program means to me, I really like finding players that want to be here. And Tate Davis, I had some players on our team, Sage Scarmardo, who's a new transfer us from Purdue. She sought me out all summer, really wanting to be here and being a part of what we're doing, and just the success that we had this past spring. So, I think it's a mutual interest for me. I want to feel like that the players we're recruiting going after, other than having high character and high talent, they really want to be here. They want to come to Columbia and be a part of the community that we're building.
Well, Coach, thank you. Thank you for being here, and we're going to be on the journey with you to Oklahoma. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you. Go Gamecocks.
Good luck.
Still feeling good? Y'all got a water bottle y'all could throw me real quick? I should have thought of that before I came up here. All right. Our next speaker of the night has made 6 College World Series appearances, 6 SEC tournament championships, and 4 SEC Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Was recently named the 31st head coach in Gamecock baseball history. We already talked about we come from a world of experiencing hard, and there's growth and development with that. Can't wait to talk to you, Coach Paul Maneri, and we know that you've been hard at work in this offseason, and come on up. Please join me in giving him a warm welcome.
Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Put me in cold.
Take a sip. Let's go. Hello, everybody. First of all, before you say anything, can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
It is so intimidating for me to follow those coaches up here. Have you ever seen a group more articulate, more first class, more knowledgeable, and at the top of their professions than those coaches that just came up here before me? This is unbelievable. I've been around a lot of coaches in my life, Connor, as you might imagine. It means I'm getting old, okay? I've never been around a group of people so professional as the coaches on the coaching staff here and the athletic director that we have. What a first-class athletic program. Unbelievable.
Appreciate you saying that. We're very proud of them. We're very proud of you. Can you talk a little bit more about that as you've gotten here? What has that been like with other coaches, you being embraced as other new coaches came about the same time? But what does the relationships look like on campus with the other coaches?
Well, first of all, I think most people know that I thought I was retired from coaching. I had finished 39 years as a college baseball coach. And then Ray Tanner was the athletic director at the time. Ray and I had known each other for many years, competed against each other. And he wanted me to come out of retirement, which, because of my respect for the University of South Carolina, I was very open to that idea. I'm glad I did it. And then, of course, he retired 3 months later. I could have hit him in the head with a bat. But I'll tell you this, President Amaritas, he went out and did a national search, and they hired a new athletic director that I can tell you is unbelievable. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Jeremiah Donati, he gets it. He knows how to do it. His energy, his positiveness, his love of what he does just permeates and oozes out of him. And it inspires me, as well as the rest of the coaches, to develop a program that everybody in Gamecock Nation can be proud of. But to get to know Shane Beamer and Lamont and Kalen and Ashley and the rest of the coaches has really been one of the true blessings of my life. I've been around a lot of coaches in my previous stops, and these people just amaze me every day. Just to hear them up here speaking and the way that they articulate and how much they care about the right things, Connor. You know, when I was retired for 3 years and I would talk to my friends in coaching around the country, they would tell me, oh, it's a good thing you got out of it because, you know, the players are so entitled now. There's no loyalty. You know, all the values that you espouse, they're not present anymore. And then I come here and I see these coaches who care about the right things and do things the right way, the discipline that they have on their teams, the way that the things that they're coaching, life lessons to their players, and they win along the way. There's no doubt in my mind that we can still do this. And I am so determined and so committed to making the University of South Carolina once again one of the very best baseball programs, if not the best baseball program in the country. I am giving it, my coaching staff is giving it, we're giving everything that we can do. You know, I'm literally embarrassed about last year. I hate to use that word because I know what the standard is here, and I will die trying to get our standard, get this back to the standard that everybody in this room and everybody that follows South Carolina and its baseball program expects our program to be.
Well, that's encouraging to hear, and I can speak for all Gamecocks. We're always ride or die, and we believe in you, Coach, so I appreciate it. All right, after a transition year in 2025, we already touched on that. What are some of your priorities in the offseason as you look into 2026?
Well, I tell you this, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but I know I haven't worked as hard at recruiting as we did this summer in the last 25 years, because I may have put 100,000 miles on airplanes, quite frankly, and that's small compared to what the rest of our coaching staff did. We went out and recruited, and just put a great effort into bringing in players that we feel that can upgrade our program and do the things that we need to do. You know, when I retired 3 years ago, the SEC was always the best conference in the country, but I felt like there was a big change during my time out, and that was so many of the hitters are so much bigger and stronger than they've ever been. You know, like the hit and run play and stealing bases and bunting and those kind of things have almost disappeared from the sport. Everybody's just swinging for the fences, trying to hit home runs. It kind of mimics what's going on in the major leagues right now. But when you pitch against those kind of hitters, one little mistake and a ball's hit out of the ballpark. So when you have finesse type pitchers, it's very difficult to miss their bats. And if you just miss a little bit with the pitch, it's going to hurt you. So it was a priority for us to go out this summer and try to find some hard-throwing pitchers. And I think we succeeded in a great deal that way. We have one really outstanding pitcher that I think his best is yet to come, and Jake McCoy. Jake started every weekend for us last year. He had some really good outings. He had some subpar outings. But he was much improved from what he had been the year before, and even in the fall, from fall to spring, he was much improved. I think this kid's going to make a huge jump this year, and it's going to be one of the best pitchers in our league. But we needed to go around him and get some other quality arms. There's a young guy that I got to tell you I'm so excited about. His name is Amp Phillips. He pitched for University of South Carolina upstate last year. That's a funny first name, Amp, isn't it? Okay, here we go. You ready for the secret? His initials are Amp. His name is Ashton Michael Phillips, so his mother calls him Amp, okay? I asked him, I said, how'd you get a name like Amp? I mean, in the South, you see a lot of people with unique first names. How do you come up with Amp? Well, anyway, that's the way it was. Well, anyway, I'm sitting on my chair watching USC Upstate against Clemson in the first game of the regional at Clemson, and there's this kid pitching for USC Upstate. I'm not kidding you, Connor. I am like jumping off my seat, not just because it was against Clemson. I was just so excited about the way this kid was competing out there. His energy, his stuff. He was throwing 93, 94 miles an hour, putting every fastball right where he wanted it, a good curveball, and just competing so hard. He pitched 6 magnificent innings against Clemson in the first game, until his pitch count necessitated that his coach take him out of the game. But I remember sitting there saying, if this kid goes into the portal, he is going to be my number one priority. And fortunately, we landed Amp here in Gamecock land, and he is so excited. He turned down a lot of money. He turned down a lot of money in the professional baseball draft because it had always been his dream to play and wear the garnet and black, and I think this kid's going to become a legend in this state.
We're excited to watch him. That's encouraging to hear. On that note, with recruiting, the draft, I've always felt like college baseball has been pretty unique in recruiting because of the MLB. Right. A lot of the top players in high school that you've been recruiting and courting for so long, you might lose them to the draft. Now you throw on top of the portal, and I'm not being pessimistic here. It's just the nature of the beast. Can you talk about the recruiting pre-portal versus now?
Well, first of all, I've been in this business 40 years. As a baseball coach, you have had to deal with the professional baseball draft forever. You worry about losing the boys that you recruited out of high school or junior college, and then you also lose them after their third year or sometimes their second year. It's on both ends, and it's just so unpredictable. You don't know who you're going to lose, so you don't know how many kids to recruit, what's too many, what's not enough, the whole thing. It's a real guessing game. But we came out of the draft great, Connor. We lost 2 freshmen, which I wish them well. But I wasn't really counting on either of those freshmen to make an impact this year. Where I was really concerned was Amp Phillips and Bradley Hodges and Logan Sutter and Ethan Lazama and some of the other guys that we were getting, Dawson Harmon. Hey, how about this? We have 2 players in our recruiting class that were both first-team All-Americans in junior college at the same position. So they were both third basemen. Patrick Evans out of Florence Darlington Junior College, Community College, or Technical College, I guess it's called, and Dawson Harmon out of Central Florida College in Ocala, Florida. Both were third basemen. Dawson hit 24 home runs last year, led the country in home runs, and Patrick Evans hit like 450 for a team that went to the Junior College World Series, but they don't specify third base, shortstop, second base, first baseman in the All-America team. They just name 4 first-team infielders, and both of them played the same position. So that's going to be pretty good competition in the fall between those 2 guys, as you might imagine. But the transfer portal has become an important thing for us in our transition, from year 1 to year 2, and we have a lot of new players. I think we've recruited a lot of really great players, and I have no doubt that we're going to be a significantly improved team this year, and I think we're going to compete with the top teams in the league.
We'll be at Founders pulling for you, Coach.
Thank you.
Talk about your current roster. It sounds like you got some of the guys that you guys were standing on the table for who's going to elevate this team. Talk about some of your returning players, some names that we can expect, and maybe some of the personalities of this team that might be a little different than you've had in the past.
Well, I already mentioned Jake McCoy as far as a returning player and a returning pitcher that I think will anchor our starting rotation, and now we need to find two other guys that can match his ability, and I mentioned one really good candidate. I mentioned a second that kind of very quickly, Bradley Hodges, but there's several others, and I'm going to be fair to everybody and give them all an equal opportunity during fall practice. But position player-wise, going into last year, I knew that our team had some limitations in some areas. We had a bad year. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all, but we had a half a dozen, maybe 8 games in the SEC. I mean, we blew a 10-run lead against Texas A&M one day. We had Tennessee beat going into the 9th inning. We had several games like that if we could have just closed out the game, it sounds like what Lamont was talking about with his season. You win half a dozen of those games this season. I mean, maybe we're not going to win the national championship, but certainly we're going to be in the NCAA tournament and good stepping stone for the following year. But I knew going into the year that we had some limitations. So we had 2 freshmen, and I decided very early that I was going to be committed to them and go through the growing pains with them. And I believe these 2 players are going to be 2 of the best players in the league this year. Local boy, obviously, Bo Hollins, his father Dave Hollins played here and then went on and had a 15-year career in the major leagues. Bo is our first baseman. I think Bo is as good a defensive first baseman as you'll see in college baseball. And then as a freshman, he hit 300. I think he had about 6 home runs. I expect another digit to be in front of that 6 this year with his added strength. And then KJ Scobie, who played third base last year, I just decided to go with him every day because he was so good defensively. We're going to actually slide him over to shortstop this year, and I think he's going to be a great shortstop. And he almost made the USA Collegiate National Team that went to Japan, but he went to the Stars and Stripes games, which were like inter-squad games, and he was literally one of the best players out there. So I think we have a good foundation with those 2 guys, but we've had to bring in a lot of transfers. And some of these guys, you don't know their names right now, but they're going to emerge, and I think you're going to see some of the better hitters in the league as well as some of the better pitchers in the league.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how this team gels, Coach. All right, a little different question here. In this debate for us, what state is hotter, Louisiana or South Kakalaki?
I get that question a lot, actually. I will say this. I think you all complain about the heat here, but I never do. I love the climate in South Carolina. I really do. I love the state, and I'm not just saying that because we have a bunch of South Carolinians in here. I just believe this is one of the greatest states that I've ever been exposed to. The only thing I don't like about this state is the gnats. You can keep the gnats, okay? But in answer to your question, I think that Louisiana is hotter, or at least Baton Rouge was much warmer than South Carolina. But who am I to say?
I always used to say Columbia was the hottest place on the planet, and then I went to Thibodaux, Louisiana, for the Manning Pass Academy. That place is pretty toasty.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, thank you for being here. Last thing I'll say, we did a commercial, Tiffany, for the Alumni Association back in 2019, and one of the things they had me do was hit from from the pitcher's mound. What do you call it?
The pitcher's mound?
The fires off baseballs.
The what? Off of a pitching machine?
I'm a football player, guys. Pitching machine.
Tired. This guy's running out of gas.
Well, maybe 6 beers before this wasn't a good idea. That's a joke. I drank half a beer, guys. Maybe 6 after. Anyways, the hardest thing I've ever done was try to hit a baseball. That's what I was trying to say.
Hitting a baseball is the most difficult thing to do in all of sports, but it's a beautiful sport. Connor. I mean, football was always my love growing up, and but of course I'm vertically challenged, and my ability level was not good enough to play in college, so I knew baseball was going to be my route. But I just love the sport of baseball. When I look out there at a perfectly manicured ballpark, the grass being cut, the clay dragged, the freshly painted lines, to me it's a piece of art. And the game is beautiful. The people making the plays and running the bases and hitting ball. It's just a beautiful sport. And, the game has evolved through the years. The game has changed, but it's still a really wonderful sport. It's a very difficult sport to play. Sometimes I sit in the stands and it looks so simple, like just hit the ball over the fence out there, or throw it over the plate. But when you're down there on the field, it's much more difficult to play. But I'm telling you, can I just say this? I am so proud to be the baseball coach at this university. And all of my focus is forward. Now, I don't look in the rearview mirror. I've been the luckiest guy in the world to have coached for a long time at some wonderful institutions, but I just love this place as much as you do. I may not have graduated from here, but I am so committed and determined to reward the confidence that many people have in me, including my boss, and I want to see this program restored to greatness. And I promise you we are going to do everything we can do to make that happen this year.
Coach, once again, we believe in you. Appreciate it. We'll be at Founders. See you in the spring.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, buddy. All right, Coach. See you, man. Little tongue twister, man. Give me a timeout. TV timeout. Where's Patrick DeMarco? You make podcasting look easy, man, with all these questions. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, next speaker. Our next speaker is bringing a wealth of experience in athletic leadership and strategic development to Gamecock Athletics. Known for his forward-thinking approach and commitment to student-athlete success, Donati plays a key role in shaping the department's long-term vision, enhancing operations, and supporting championship-level programs across the board. Prior to joining the University of South Carolina, he served as the Director of Athletics at TCU, where he led major facility projects and guided programs to national prominence. His leadership continues to strengthen South Carolina's position in the SEC and on the national stage. Please join me in welcoming our athletic director, Jeremiah Donati.
Kane is in the building.
Did you get your second wind?
Yeah, I'm good now.
By the way, I walked kind of slowly there because I'd never had a walk-up song.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to savor every step. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably need a shot of adrenaline. Can we get something going here? All right. Gamecocks. 3, 2, 1. All right, Jeremiah.
Feel better?
I'm good now, man.
I feel better.
Feel better. Thank you.
Real quick before we start, tonight's a first for me. So I've been kind of on my own the first 6 months. This is my wife's first event. My family just moved here. So I'm not going to make her stand up because then I wouldn't be able to drive home with her. But that's my wife over there, Nicole. Wave. I don't know. She may not let me drive home with her after that. Thank you. Love you.
We're glad you're here. All right, Jeremiah, what has been your initial impression of the fan base here at South Carolina?
Oh, man, blown away. Just absolutely blown away from day one. You know, when you see it on TV and I've got a lot of colleagues in the industry who've spent a lot of time here. Some have even worked here. I knew a lot about this place before I set foot on it, but it just doesn't, until you're here, until you meet the fans, until you see it, it's really hard to describe. I've just been absolutely blown away. I've been blown away by the reception for me and my family, but there's nothing like walking into a game and seeing it. I've been to a number of events, spoken to a number of events all over the States, and just, it's real. It's real. I cannot wait to be at Williams-Brice Stadium here in a couple weeks I've dreamt about it. I've watched, I'm kind of a nerd like this. I've watched like so many YouTube videos of like the intro and just, so I'm ready.
If it ain't swaying, there we go. All right, Jeremiah, we've talked a lot about the evolution with different coaches and their landscapes. How has athletic administration changed since the beginning of your career?
That's a great question. I think it's always changing, it's always evolving, but COVID was really interesting because I think if you think back to those times, we were all sitting at home, we weren't playing, we weren't going to work, we weren't doing a lot of things, and we all kept telling ourselves, if we can just get back, life will be back to normal, life will be great, but we knew that waiting for us on the other side of COVID was NIL, because the summer of 2021 was when NIL went into when it was enacted, and college athletics has never been the same and really never will be the same. And so the job has just changed. It's always been, we're in the entertainment business. We're in the business of developing young men and women, but we're in the entertainment business, like it or not. And so there's that component of it has been accelerated. So we can talk about rev share, but NIL was the start of a lot of change because that combination of NIL with conference realignment, with transfer portal, and now rev share, there was a massive lawsuit that the Power Four conference has just settled. So when you kind of add all those together, these jobs are very different than they were just a short time ago. So not necessarily for the worse, they're just different. So we've had to evolve, I've had to evolve, and we'll continue to evolve.
You were hired here early January, correct, of this year?
December, but I started in January. Yep.
Okay. What are some of the opportunities that you've identified in your short time here as the AT for this athletic department?
Well, I think the obvious one is the stadium. We've got a lot of work to do there. We've got a lot of opportunity there, and so I think we're making plans for an improved, enhanced experience at Williams-Brice Stadium that will touch all of our fans, from a first-time season ticket holder to a student to a premium seat holder, and then last but not least, to our players, and to improve and enhance their experience as well. So, it's an unbelievable stadium. I was living right next to it for 6 months. I've spent nights walking around there and just kind of visualizing, what could be possible. But, we've got some work to do. It's, there's a lot of things, candidly, to fix. I think I'll speak to the women in the room. We need to add some restrooms. We've got to enhance the experience there. We've got to enhance the concessions and concourses and things that these just aren't going to fix themselves. And so while I know there's a lot of talk about the premium seats we're going to add, and we need to do that as well, we're trying to make this a project for all. I think I'm a real big believer in the student experience. Everyone in here was a student at one point, and so we ultimately want those students to have such an unbelievable experience that they come back and they're sitting in these seats. So we're trying to hit a lot of birds with one stone. I give a lot of credit to our president, our board. It's so great to see so many trustees here tonight, who believe in that vision. They want a better experience for our fans and for our student athletes and for the future. And so we've done a lot of work in a short amount of time. Still have plenty to do, but when we've set out to execute a project that would take about 24 months to get to right here, and we've done it in about 8 months. So it's not my doing. We've got a tremendous team that believes in that and wants to get that done. So that's probably the biggest thing. There are others. There's for whatever reason we've been incredibly busy. We settled, like I said, this massive lawsuit that's completely changed the landscape of college athletics. Now we are actually paying student athletes directly through revenue sharing. That's very different than it was, and so operationalizing for that and making sure we've got the resources. And I'm very grateful to the university that's making the top line investment to make sure. Not only that we can survive, but thrive. That's what we're here to do. So, those would be the two biggest things, is making sure that the project goes swimmingly and gets off the ground, and that we execute the revenue sharing era of college athletics.
A lot of us are excited because you do bring a bit of a unique perspective and from your experience even outside the traditional path in athletic administration, even as an agent. And you talked about the entertainment industry a bit. Can you lean a little bit more into that and how that's kind of molded you and shaped you and how you see this a little bit differently perhaps?
Well, so for those of you that don't know my background, I was at TCU for 14 years, and prior to that, I worked in professional sports as a sports agent with a guy named Lee Steinberg, who's a legendary sports agent, and learned at the time, didn't realize what a lesson I was getting that would translate to our world today. But I'm really grateful for the legal background because at the time I didn't know that like I said, our business has changed so much. All those things really matter today, and a lot of the discussion, I rely on that experience. So being up close and personal to so many marketing deals, I always wondered. It seemed odd to me at the time that college athletes could not capitalize on their NIL. At the time, it wasn't called name, image, likeness. It would be called basically your marketability. And so, I've done those deals. I've been on both sides of those. And so, perhaps that's, given me some tools, I guess, in the that have helped today. So I'm forever grateful for that experience. I don't miss it. Yeah, sure. Being an agent's not all it's cracked up to be, but I'm grateful now because one thing that's changed about our world is we deal with agents every single day. Every single coach you just heard from, that's part of their jobs have changed. 5 years ago there was no reason to have an agent. Now every single kid on every single one of their rosters has an agent. So think about how much that's changed. So anyhow, it's you either embrace it or you die at this level, and so we're going to embrace it. That's every single coach that you just heard from, and every single other coach that we have many great ones. That's part of the recipe for success these days.
We've got time for two more quick questions. We don't have to go all the way down the rabbit hole on this, but can you just explain?
Yeah, you did your homework, my friend.
That's why I'm exhausted up here. Can you explain at a high level what this rev share model looks like for those who are not very versed in it? Just the change, maybe the cliff notes of what it means.
Sure. So the number 20.5 million is significant because that is the new cap for what colleges permissively can pay student athletes starting July 1. So we are officially in the rev share era. And so schools are left up to their discretion on how they want to distribute that money amongst teams, amongst players. And so you've got some considerations regarding Title IX. There's also you can add scholarships that is deducted from that 20.5. And so you're playing this balance game. So the days of NIL, the wild west of those, are seemingly over. There's now a fair market value analysis those deals need to go through, and so that pay for play model that we experienced previously for the last 3+ years is now it's our responsibility to pay those young men and women. So it's really interesting because every single coach you heard from, and I would add Don Staley to the mix. They all want as many resources as you can provide, but the pie is only so big. Yeah. And so you've got you talked about this job and how it's different. You're trying to manage all their expectations, and that you're trying to do everything you can for them to be successful, because we all want to win in every single sport, but the pie is $20.5 million. And so it only goes so many directions, and so you got to think, what are the priorities? How can we give? I said this earlier. It's not the objective is probably not how do you make every coach happy. It's how do you treat them all fairly and make them content, because every coach is going to tell you they want more. There's always another 5-star recruit out there. There's always another big recruit in the transfer portal, and so there's back to managing expectations. There's some days it's tough, but we've got a great. You heard from a bunch of them, but we've got other tremendous coaches. They get it. I think if you're transparent with what the vision is, and they see, you paint a vision for how you're going to get there, they've all jumped on board, and they've all been tremendous to work with.
All right, Jeremiah, you're going to close us out with this. What is the most exciting thing you're looking forward to when you step in Willie B as the athletic director of the Gamecocks?
Oh, geez. Well, first of all, we have a great marketing team. And, I saw this video, okay, I'm watching YouTube, and there's this video, someone put like a helmet cam on and ran out onto the field. And just when you hear 2001 play, we heard it earlier for those of you who were in your seats, I mean, I had goosebumps sitting over there. So, I think it'll become real when I see the football in the air, really in Atlanta, but especially more so the following weekend. So I'm just going to take it all in. I will probably be a sweaty mess. I'll probably have to bring a change of clothes, but I really want to get around to the tailgates and see our fans and see their experience because I've just heard amazing things about it. But I'm just... at the end of the day, I have a love for sports. It's why I'm here. It's the only thing I've ever done. It's the only thing I ever want to do. And so, on game day, I'll be the little kid in me. We'll be really excited about experiencing that as a fan first and foremost before I, go back to being an athletic director.
Well, we are excited that you're a Gamecock, and we are pumped up for the future.
Thank you. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Jeremiah.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
All right, one more time, Gamecocks. Please give a round of applause to our speakers tonight. All right, before we close this out all the way, I'd like to invite Tiffany back up to stage, if you will.
There she goes. There she goes again.
Is this karaoke? You want to? Okay.
I would not do that to anybody in here. First of all, I come bearing gifts.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Much deserved. Can we please give a round of applause for Connor Shaw?
Thank you.
I mentioned to you guys earlier, this is his 6th year doing this with us. Last year, we kind of threw a couple of curveballs at him as we were waiting on some coaches to arrive, and he just continues to lead this program so well, and we so appreciate all that you do, Connor. So I want to take one more opportunity to say thank you to Founders Federal Credit Union for being the presenting sponsor tonight. I want to thank all of our coaches, all of our athletics team. We work so closely with our athletics program and are just so grateful for those partnerships. Gates are up, so as you exit this evening, you should be able to just get right out of the parking garage. And I want to take one quick moment to just say, while I am the face for the association that you see this evening, I am backed by an incredible staff who made this evening happen. So if you wouldn't mind helping me give them a round of applause too. And with that, thank you, and go Gamecocks.